you for being here with me to talk about this favorite subject of mine, this Lydian chromatic concept. And I'm gonna just fast track as much of it as I can with you guys. And I don't wanna like play at you the whole time. I want it to be something that like you can walk away with having some like glimpse of it being part of your language. And not just being like, oh, Coleman seemed to know what he was talking about. Like, I want you to be like, stimulated like I am. So that's my goal. You're sort of familiar with this, Evan, from a bandmate. And I found out about this whole concept just being a Fish fan. And apparently, like, Trey had read a book by a guitar player named Ted Dunbar, who did his account of the Lydian chromatic concept. And I got both of those books, and they sort of just collected dust for a while. And about a year ago, I got the piano tuned in my house, I got the book out, and I set about figuring it out. So, you guys familiar with like the number system? Like regarding like the harmonized major scale? Like chord, we were talking about the modes and stuff. So like, I like to kind of just crash course through that, and then stand on top of that to talk about the concept stuff. So, I do like, often do a lot of lessons on the number system, but I like never wanted to put it into writing. I always wanted to be able to like work at people's paces with it and see what they needed, because we all internalize things differently, and there's all sorts of fun micro associations that you can help people find. But with the major scale, question? Oh, you're welcome to if you do have one.
No, this is just out my resting face.
Oh no, it's
just curious.
Yeah, he remains open, right? So, major scale, totally unaltered. I often have people take it into like a horizontal way. So I'll take it along one string, and I often will be like preaching the value of understanding chord tones, the 1, 3, 5, 7, from each point. Because then we start to get these different musical colors. So from our 1 and 4, we get major sounds. From our 2, 3, and 6, we get minor ones. And then these other two qualities that only happen once, I often call outliers, because they're just unique in that regard. So our dominant 5 chord only happens one time, and it's always on the 5, which I find, that's refreshing. I can count on that being that way. Oh, cool. And so we got another chord quality. We had our major stuff, our minor stuff, our dominant stuff. And then there's one other outlier that you get from the major scale world. It's the minor 7 flat 5, or half diminished sound. And that one is a kind of unique sound. And I didn't actually find out like what to do with that maybe until like the last few years, when I saw it through the lens of like relative minor key progressions and like 2 5 1s. We'll just have a quick tangent about that. So C major as the major key, and then you guys ever run into relative major minor concepts? So what's the relative minor of C? Yes. So going down to A, oh man, kind of losing my train of thought there for a second. I'm getting away from the Lydian thing, so pulling myself back. We have a certain set of rules, right? The 5 is always dominant, the 1 and the 4 are major. These are things that are, I call them lawfully unfolding. So what George Russell does is he takes this whole number system, and it's kind of just like shifting it up a 4th. So that major 4th is now the 1 of your number system. So you'll have a major 7 sharp 11 1, and then your 2 is dominant. And then your relative minor goes from being this like Aeolian minor to a Dorian minor. So let me just play a little bit with just the regular Lydian sound. Let's take a second, and can I hear all you guys play? Just play the note C for me. Yeah. Here, we'll give you here's like an freaking hay or something. Let's all lend Evan an A. It's communal A. All right, cool. So now back to that C. All right, so Lydian is like the major scale with a raised fourth. I often like to say that it's got an easier fingering than the major scale because you can think that the second two strings of it are both 1, 3, 4. For my major shapes, I often lead with my middle finger because I then have my pointer finger like readily available to grab the third. Cool. So just let's go through that really slow. I'll count us in. We'll all just play a C Lydian scale together. Oh my God, what a treat. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then repeat the top. Yeah. And repeat the bottom, yep. Raise the fourth. Yeah. I often repeat on the top. All right, awesome. So I'm gonna just create a little environment for us to play over for a minute. With my looper, I often lean towards making reverse loops because they're sort of rhythmically nebulous, and you can create a texture without being distracting in the subdivisions there. So I'm just gonna bust out a couple little Lydian licks here. And a lot of times the sharp 11 is that defining color. So sometimes I'll save it, I'll do the pentatonic framework and the major sevens. And eventually when I throw in the sharp 11s, they really start to stand out. Maybe we just go down the line a little bit. Play me some C Lydian business over this loop. Yeah, everyone will get their chance. Yeah, there it is. All right, now let me give you a prompt. Yes. Throw in that low F sharp sometimes. So the second fret E string. Yeah. I love to be keenly aware of a note's position above and below the octave where I'm at, or whatever interval I'm focused on. I call it the 360 perspective. Yeah. Maybe keep that going. And now will you sprinkle in on top here? Yeah, meaningful first note. Yeah, major sevens only right now. I'm going to give you some stipulations. Let's do a horizontal climb together. Third fret A string. Yeah. And now let's go up a whole step. Whole step. Whole step. Half step. Whole step. Whole step. Half step. And there's our construction. Yeah. Yeah. So then I'll think, okay, what's the quickest boiled sound for major is the triad. So we got like root, third, fifth, C, E, G. Yeah. And just with those three, we can start to add in. Raise that fourth for me. You're probably pretty used to using your middle finger there. The fa, mi, re, do, fa, mi. Oh my God, it's everywhere. It's America, man. It's Ionian. But fi, mi, re, do, ti, fi, sol. I like solfege a lot, if that's not coming clear.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Yeah, so just starting with just that little bit of triadic information, root, third, fifth, and starting to highlight the sharp 11 is a quick way to get inside the sound of it. And now you join in here.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, watch that fa mi. But I liked your instinct there, but try spreading out that top note. Just one, like a 8 to 11. Yeah, yeah. It almost sounds dissonant because we're really trying to avoid it, you know? Yes! I think even coming here and being in an environment where someone can say to you, you're really used to the natural fourth, is so valuable. Because then you can see it and be like, oh fuck, like, yeah, I do go to that. And you kind of start to develop your awareness and potential for raising it into getting into some of this stuff. Let's stick with this prompt, stay with this scale. And I want to change this environment here. I don't work for Boomerang, but I do like to. Yeah, keep playing the C Lydian stuff, right? Perfect. Yeah. So you may find C has a little bit of a rub to it now, because it's now the flat 7 of D7. Now bear with me, and I'll make this not so loud. We still have that number system unfolding in the same way as it did, although we've reframed where 1 is, it's still kind of going in the same order as it was for major. So this is our D7 chord. The C Lydian expresses Mixolydian over top of it. That's not too crazy to wrap your head around. That's just kind of how the modes work. But this sort of ability to superimpose and think like this is kind of what we need to stand on to add the Lydian chromatic aspect to it and really start to play with the different sounds. But please, yeah, C Lydian business. You may find yourself gravitating towards D, which is fine. We're in D. Let me join you. Yeah, we're in D mixo, but if you can kind of just force yourself to look at Lydian from the flat 7 of the D mixo and not just be like, there's something in your head, there's just like little, you know, everyone watching Severance here?
Oh, yeah.
Alright, well, it's a fine show about, you know, splitting your mind.
Right.
And a lot of when I've talked to people about the concept, like, I'll tell them and they'll be like, oh yeah, well that's just that. And I'm like, yeah, it is. But it's the perspective on it that's different, and the way that you access it that's a little different, and then I find all of it creatively stimulating. So that's my prompt, is really try to visualize the C over the context of the D7.
Okay.
Here, I'll do a little business at first too. And one thing I always like to do is, even if it's just the triads to start, so I'm just thinking like C triad, D major, E minor, F sharp half diminished. There's my G. I'm just kind of doing those. Ooh, getting a little fancy on us there. And it feels very inside. All right, one more color to taste here. What is this, a candy store? Yeah, that sounds fucking great. Oh, let me get a good minor voicing here. Ooh, I'm hearing some spice. So this is Dorian. We love it. Oh, we love it. Come on. You've been to one fish show. You love Dorian. It's the cool minor. I always use Riders on the Storm as the song to describe the Dorian mode. And it's got the natural sixth, the flat seven, flat third. And if you just play C Lydian over A minor, it's Dorian.
Oh wow, that's cool. I don't know.
Yes! Woo! We got one. All right. Right? It's the same biz, and you can really. Really use that to your advantage, and. Uh-oh! Daddy's home! And playing like C Lydian inversions, like as a soloist sometimes, you know, as bass players, we can be. And the whole world of pentatonics and stuff like that, starting to think like with these superimpositions of mine, you can start to outline different sounds, and the way that George Russell describes playing like that is playing vertically. It's like drawing constellations. Is like one way I'll describe it. Some of it is in this document as well, which we'll get. But these are the three main colors I want to talk about. So there's a bit of a physics phenomenon associated with this that doesn't have too much to do with the concept outright, but I like to talk about it anyway. It's really nice to do on piano and sit there and just start at whatever interval, C or F down low, and stack the fifths of Lydian. Because as you do, I'm gonna try it right now. I was like, I had this idea last night when I was going to sleep. I was like, I bet I could do this without a piano. So let's try it. It's like a really short loop. Okay, I'm gonna just try to stack fifths on that. Instead of a F sharp, you'll have what will end up being that tritone that exists in major, the diminished fifth, and you'll hear it's going to create basically a 5-chord stacked upon itself. So let's see here. This works. Oh, this is great news. Okay. but it has an inherent tension.
Right.
So stick with me here. The last note I added there, when it was not tense, was an F sharp. Okay? That's our sharp 11 of this whole Lydian biz. Stacking a fifth above that. What's a fifth above F sharp?
C sharp.
What is C sharp in relationship to C? Intervallically.
Chromatic stuff. Oh.
Yeah, like a flat 9, flat 2,
Oh,
sharp 1 if you're nasty, I don't know. Okay, so cool. That's pretty dissonant.
right.
That's a really dissonant interval. But when you stack it in fifths like this with Lydian, it doesn't actually end up creating dissonance. Okay? And then in the document here, we're actually in the document now, on the first page, I kind of like, I'll read it to you just for posterity's sake. Pythagorean scholars were the first to be credited with stacking intervals. Yep, I wrote that sentence. Exploring pitch like an equation or ratio led to some interesting results. The Lydian mode stacking fifths creates a unified tonal field totally resolved into itself. We just saw that. This doesn't work when stacking the major scale because of that diminished fifth. We just heard that. And they call this like the phenomenon of tonal gravity. If you keep stacking fifths, you're finding your way up a chromatic ladder. And the first one we added was the flat 9. We just agreed on that together. And we'll keep going. Then we get a sharp 5. Oh, wow, these are all like altered intervals. Flat 3rd, okay. The flat 7. The natural 4th. Wow, Mr. Big Dissonant natural 4th all the way at the end of the rainbow there. Cool. And this is the chromatic aspect of the Lydian chromatic scale. Like the scale is essentially only represented stacked in fifths, and then we take that phenomenon and use it to our jazz thinking advantage. So one caveat that I don't include in here, but I like to talk about as part of it, the flat 9 being the first naturally occurring one. It really leads to some dissonant sounding crap. So for his concept of the system, he moved it to like the end of what he gives as options for the scales derived. And some people at the time thought that was bullshit. There's videos online of Jacob Collier saying his concept is bullshit because he did this or that, and I'm fine with the workaround. I actually think it's kind of an intelligent way to like structure it. So no shade to anyone,
Is
but
it completely opposite? Like was
so he
was
made.
he saying the natural 4 would be the first?
Well, so not like a mirrored
sharp
flip,
5.
but he takes the flat 9 and he puts it
Okay.
after the 4.
Yeah.
And we'll get right into
I
that.
see. And it starts with the sharp 5.
Yeah, so sharp 5 ends up being the first thing we use to get Lydian variations. So we just proved this next thing, familiar framework here in the document. That was what we all just played Lydian over. And we heard our mix of Lydians, we heard our Lydian, we heard our, was it Dorian? It was, yeah. That made sense. Okay, and then we talked about putting the 4 major sharp 11 as the 1, and everything that came out of that. Let's talk about these 7 vertical scales that we get. And the sharp 5 you said was what we start with. So yeah, they end up, what do you get normally with sharp 5s? What kind of chord quality, or what happens when you sharp a 5th on something? Yes, so this is Lydian augmented. And what Lydian augmented is it's just simply Lydian, but it has a raised 5th. So you may ask yourself, does that mean that it has no 5th? Well, it's raised, it's not natural, it's not a perfect 5th. So yeah, there is sort of that kind of nebulousness that you get. Yeah, it's like whole tone for the first 5 notes.
Right, I was about to say, it sounds like whole notes.
Yeah, tremendously so. And then it picks back up on the Ionian Railway, natural 6, natural 7, root. So here. Yeah, so, fingering wise, right? You may ask yourself, what do I do for something like this? It's a little bit bizarre. 2 suggestions. I'm gonna do the E string C, because what? Yeah, 4s. I'm not trying to blow you out here with all these strings, my friends. So I'll often operate in a 5 fret radius. So I think, I'm seeing a lot of good fingerings here and finger per fret stuff from everybody. And sometimes I'll break that rule to great effect by just sort of like extending my range there. And for this scale, that's kind of how I end up doing whole tone a lot. I'll do 2 notes and then 3 notes on the next string. and then my pointer finger is still kind of over where that natural 6 was to finish out the major scale. So here, let's step one at a time, just a chance to find it. All right, so do you like frets or do you like notes?
I like frets.
Okay,
Frets are nice.
so let's do 8E, 10E. Do it together. 8E, 10E right in front of it, and now 7th fret A, 9th fret A, 11th fret A, and that's all whole steps. Do, 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 do. Yeah, and then 7th fret D, 9th fret D, 10th fret D makes the octave. Yeah. Bang! That was it. How about you, Captain? Yep. Yep.
Just making up notes now.
Well, that comes closer near the other ones, the more outgoing ones.
We also have so much guitar indoctrination is where we're thinking 3 things on the E string, as we
Yep,
go down,
yep.
very truly too. And like he points out about the middle finger being the center of the tone, that's where your mind will trick you, right? To just stop there and not go back again every time.
Will you hit the gas for me, Evan?
Sure.
Let me get that natural 6 in there though too.
Oh, okay.
There you go. And this is it's the 3rd mode of melodic minor.
Right.
And that's nice to know and categorize. The ways we're going to use it are going to get pretty uniquely fun and stuff. But yeah, that's the sound. Another fingering that doesn't involve the same sort of shifting would be getting those first few notes there: root, 2, 3, sharp 4th, and then I will shift down here from the sharp 5 to the natural 6, like on the D string. So. Okay, so that's the sound. Great, it's amazing. So let's just get some contexts going. I should have just saved. I just don't know what I'm going to do, so I have to leave the total blank. But one way I can show you to immediately involve this in your life and have it be meaningful, if you, what the fuck? It's up to come on. There we go. All right. So I'm going to alternate between major sounding lines, C major with the natural 4, Lydian, and Lydian augmented, all over C. And it's kind of cool. You can play with the fabric of the tension and imply stuff without actually having like a 5-1 moment per se. So I don't know how I'm going to play. So you can kind of hear I'm like closer to being inside, and then the sharp 11 comes in, and then it's the sharp 11 and the sharp 5th, and then I'm back to everything being contained in the Ionian. So, and sometimes it can be as simple as here's like. I was changing it like every octave. I'd start major. Go Lydian. Go Lydian augmented on the 3rd octave of it. I know, not flexing there.
Third octave.
Yeah, but you'll have to employ some traditional horizontal shifting to get it there. But it's meant to just kind of inspire the sound. So I'd like to give you a moment with that as a prompt. So just you're playing. Your goal is to weave in the Lydian augmented and then resolve it to some sort of either Lydian or Ionian verse. And hit the flange for me. You've got the pedals out. Let's.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely hearing it. And the more you include that sharp 5, the less crazy it'll be. And one cool thing about that fingering is that you can, oh, are you all right there?
Yeah.
Get them both playing at the same time, which is sort of like it sounds obtuse, but it can be really nice if you do it on purpose in the right. So it's like a pianistic sort of close voicing thing. Alright, so let's pass it to you here. And don't feel like you have to jump right in the deep end of it. You could get in there with establishing just the triad and then try playing with the Lydian augmented. Yeah, ooh, there it is. Carnatic influences. Yeah, brother. Yeah. Alright, but don't play me what you know. Play me new things. Find me that Lydian augmented business. Yeah, no natural fifths for a moment. Yeah, deprive yourself of the stability.
That's it. That's the problem.
You need stability deprivation. That's what you
That's
need.
going on.
Aren't you alive in 2025? Isn't that enough stability deprivating? Yeah. Mind that flat 7. We're almost there, but we're not there yet. Yeah. Wayne Shorter. Think out. Think bad, so bad it's good. Will you layer in with him?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, watch the flat 7s. Keep it major.
Oh, okay.
Although I love a modal moment. I'm being a little bit of a note mistress. Yeah. One cool thing I neglected to say for this sound is the triadic expression of it is really neat. Root, third, It's worth checking out. Let me give you a little bit of less volume moment here to try it out, this little sharp 5. Now that was over just C. We're going to keep the C Lydian augmented, but go back to that D7 vibe. I'm going to do something where I can like just keep calling on these. Let's see here.
That's gonna create
So what it does, the actual like science of it,
it's like a 6. I don't know.
it gives us Lydian dominant
Right.
over the dominant chord. So in a way, and it's like some hellish math there, but we're doing C Lyd Aug, which is the third mode of melodic minor, gives us the fourth mode of melodic minor, Lydian dominant, over this dominant chord. So it's a lot of work to kind of be like, oh, you just raised the fourth of the Mixolydian? Okay, cool. Yeah, but it's all about that perspective. So I found, just even here, just taking that aforementioned over the D7, I found it to be pretty hip. So C, E, G sharp, B, C, E, G sharp, B. So it's a great, if you ever find yourself in like a jam-ish moment, right? Whether you're taking the solo or supporting with your natural kind of Mixolydian business. You know, whoever you call on for your Mixolydian stuff, working and that kind of close voicing between, yeah.
That's a quick question.
Yeah, oh,
So,
of course.
Is Lydian dominant pretty much the same thing as like a mixed Lydian scale, but it's kind of Lydian dominant?
Yeah, we raised the fourth, yeah.
Okay.
And it's the same business there, yeah. Yeah. And one thing for all of these scales, we're still just on the first scale of these, you can see how it can take a while. But they're all worth just like checking out their number system stuff. So I think it's like for C, Lydian augmented, you've got an augmented 1, you've got a dominant 2, dominant 3, half diminished sharp 4, half diminished sharp 5, minor major 7, natural 6, regular minor N. Can't believe I remembered all that. It just kind of being able to do that. It's another great thing to like give beyond just thinking arpeggios and scales, being able to really outline stuff like that. And do like just going through the different intervals and their arpeggiations is kind of how I end up understanding the sounds better. And certainly by adding like, you know, chords over something, you really give yourself a lot to play with. And so they're all worth just kind of picking apart and running through the keys too. All right, while we're on the dominant one, I want to give us a bonus, because we'll never get to all of this in 2 hours, for dominant stuff, and with Lydian augmented in mind. Doing it from the flat 7 is cool. It gives us that Lydian dominant flavor. Doing it from the major third of the dominant chord you're doing is the altered scale. Right? So, you ever have anybody talk to you about altered before? It's a very jazz-leaning sound, and it's like, you know, basically every bad interval is involved. It's really tense. And I would never really be able to wrap my head around it because people would always say, okay, it's the seventh mode of melodic minor. It's the last one. So if you know what melodic minor is, just start on the seventh and that's it. And it never really connected for me. But now, with this whole Lydian augmented thing making a lot of sense to me, and placing it here on the third, I was like, oh, okay, there it is, there's the seventh. So I'll just try to show you what I mean. So the scale now would move to F sharp. We go F sharp, G sharp, oh god, A sharp, C, D, E flat, yes, F, and then F sharp. So it's just on its own. It's still Lydian augmented that we've been doing, but immediately changing the framework can be pretty disorienting, so yeah. There's that close voicing thing. Yep, so it's like all whole steps. And then you get your half step. One nice way to do it is try to play just Lydian first, so where you have that same fingering, and then raise the fifth. Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
All right, so dig it. I'll just start off with some regular D stuff. We like to call it giving them the dough, you know? Please, here's the root, yeah. Okay, and then now. And it's just another really kind of extended way. Yeah. It's pretty tense sounding. But to go from like just kind of ripping it up with funky shit. So there I was weaving it in from the F sharp. C lid og to F sharp lid og. And I'll go back and forth between doing like over a dominant chord, Lydian augmented from the flat seven and the major third. That was the big secret with that one. All right, so then over a minor sounds. This might actually work out for me here. This could be a big major one too. Shit. That's what happened. Good. I'm trying to save myself precious seconds with figuring this out. And it ends up making it melodic minor when you do C lid og over this A minor we're about to be blessed with here in just a second. There we go.
You said it becomes what?
Melodic minor.
Oh.
Yeah, so lid og is the third mode of melodic minor. So from the flat third of the minor, it ends up being melodic minor. There we go.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right? So yeah, you're going.
Oh, wow.
The melodic minor is like a minor scale with a major seventh and a regular sixth. So it's like Dorian with a raised seventh. So it's cool, but it's got a lamenting quality to it too. And that's the same thing, it's like you're just doing regular Lydian. You're gonna sound very inside, like you know what you're doing, you know how to play with people. And then eventually you start slipping into the Lydian augmented. And this works for coming up with like baseline stuff too, because if I'm just grooving. That was just the triad. I'll just kind of pull stuff from thinking like that. There it was from the F sharp, kind of moving it around. Flanger sounds awesome. All right, cool. So that was scale 1 of this whole system. Going through that whole chromatic rainbow idea, we had the sharp 5, add a 5th to it, we find our flat 3rd. That brings us to our next scale, Lydian diminished. So it's like Lydian, but you've got a flat 3rd. This one gets pretty wild. C, D, E flat. A lot of time for minor shapes, I lead with my pointer finger because it's easy to grab that minor 3rd right there. Yeah. And then you jump to the tritone. So that's a bit of a gap, right? A minor 3rd built in the middle of the scale like that. It's bizarre. And then the rest of it ends like a, Lydian or Ionian with your 5, 7, 6, 7, yeah. So it doesn't really sound too exotic until you start hitting that. Oh, I just erased all. Okay. They were never meant to be. So yeah, playing this one just over a C by itself, the arpeggio gives us minor major 7, which I refer to as the detective chord. They never found the body. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what it sounds like. It's like the end of some noir episode, like, still, I'm taking care of his wife while she's out of town. And by taking care, I mean taking care. And this is a popular voicing of mine. I call it a shell chord, where I'll do like root 3rd 7. Yeah, and it's a great way. I write it in what you guys have, but it's a great way to like lay something simple down to explore the different sounds over. But this scale. It's kind of cool. And you do have diminished in there. So we could have a whole separate class endeavor on diminished stuff as well, but the concept of diminished is minor 3rds stacked on minor 3rds. And it's symmetrical because if you keep doing that, you'll end up back at the same note after 4. So it's like C plus a minor 3rd, E flat. Add a minor 3rd to that, F sharp. Add a minor 3rd to that, A. Add a minor 3rd to that, you're back at C, baby. And then so really from any of those, they're all the same. So they're each of them, which is comforting and scary, And it's nice that that's in there, but it doesn't really give you like the color of this. It's one little device you can eke out. It's really something about that major 7 on there that does it for me there. All right, so it's really kind of lamenting and sad over this. scale in your hands and in your heart. And we're gonna go to Funky Town. That's right. You've got a two-way ticket. Two-way tickets. Oh yeah. Excellent. So now, same scale. We're starting from the flat 7 of the dominant like before. So you get your flat 7, you've got your root, and a flat 9. Just those first few notes there. Okay, that's spicy. Let's keep going. Okay, there's your major third. And if we keep going, there's your fourth. Yeah, the G natural. Yeah. And then A natural is our fifth now. B natural, natural 6 or 13. And then you're back at your flat 7. So this one I call this Mixolydian flat 9. So once again, it's a little elaborate way to be like, oh, just flat the 9 on Mixolydian. But it's all about the perspective. I think it's just a cool sound, like, you know, to go from the funky business, as I keep saying. Just grabbing ideas like that from it.
So when you say it's a Mixolydian flat 9, are you playing it in D or C? Or?
Well, D is happening.
Oh, okay.
And we're playing C Lydian diminished, right?
Right.
But then it's like we're keeping track of the score and what it actually colors it like and how does it change it. So that's what it does. Because a lot of times we hear flat 9, and I mean, in my world, people presume like Phrygian dominant. And this is like that, but it has a natural 6th, so. But every little half step means a lot, you know? And here's some like little chordy things that I found were interesting with this one. C, F sharp, B. So thinking from the Lydian diminished, that's the root, the sharp 11, and the major 3rd. But doing it over the D is cool. It's a cool voicing. And then a certainly less bass-friendly one in those registers, but E flat, F sharp, B. So it's the flat 3rd, sharp 11, major 7. And resolving that to D. That's like way up here. I'm gonna talk. It's cool, right?
Yeah, it is cool.
Here's one like Colemanism that not everybody does, but once I get to the 12th fret, which is the 0, I tend to think of all this stuff as 3, 5, 7, 9 again, rather than being like 15, 17, 19. So I was about to like shout something at you, but I wanted to like clarify what I was going to shout. And I was going to say up here, it's on the A string 6, 4, 4. Yeah, so I'm barring the 4, 4, 6, 4, 4. Yeah, there you go. There's the high note. So start on your A with your ring finger on your A string on your, I'm going to really tell you what it is now, 18th fret. Find me this note. Higher. Yeah. Yeah, put the rang there. Put that rang down. And then use your bar to get, yeah, there it is. And now. We've got C, Lydian augmented. We've got C, Lydian diminished. And that's a lot of different stuff to wield and express over a modal environment, right? I mean, I'm going to be figuring it out the rest of my life, but I'm happy to get you guys started as well. All right, so let's check out the effects of doing this over minor tonality here now. So this one's a little bit wacky sounding because it will sound diminished, sticking still C Lydian diminished against this A minor. So we have flat third, natural 4. Ooh, that's stanky, right? That's the sharp 11 to the minor chord now, but it feels blues so far. Then we get that sharp. Okay. It's giving Dorian. Yep, then you got your G. There's your flat 7. You got your root. And your natural 2. Yeah, so it's like we're doing, I'll take you through the notes here. So C, D, E flat, F sharp, G, A, B, C. Yeah. Yeah. No, this one has no fifth. So it becomes like a Dorian flat 5 sound. There's no E involved in it. And then you get the diminished stuff. Stay with your modal perspective, and I'm going to just change underneath you. So whatever C Lydian tonics you deploy will be shifting underneath whatever I'm doing. Awesome. Tremendous. All right, so let's do a new one. Everything all right with them? Everything all right with them?
Yeah, I mean, I have a bird removal specialist clearing some bird nests out the side of the house. We had some fires.
It's a classic Friday, you know?
I know, this is my life. Although his guy, who's like got a bat job starting on Thursday, I was like, well, nice to meet you.
Just a Does this mean birds are real?
I got a bird.
Oh, great. All right, so we're doing pretty good. Let's keep going. We've got a new scale to deal with. And as we keep stacking fifths, we had the sharp 5, we had the flat 3. The next one we arrive at is our flat 7. We're going to get 2 scales from adding this interval. So the first one's Lid Dom. We already talked about it. We kind of went at it through the lens of Lydian augmented, but it's like a Lydian scale with a flat 7. And so that means our 1, we'd like change that. Playing Lid Dom over a major chord, the rub between the 7ths is going to be kind of gross. I won't even demonstrate it. I'm just going to jump right into like having a dominant 1. So C7. Oh, I had the cool sound on here. Yep, and this is I don't know if any of your bands have a Lydian dominant song yet, but, or a jam that is inside that song that's Lydian dominant, but they might after today, because it's a great mode for jamming and just. I like it. Getting carried away with it a little bit there. But it's funky, it's got mystery built into it. It's a cool sound. I don't have to be so pageantry oriented here. So you stick with the same scale. And we're gonna get some unique results here. So check it out. We got C, D, E, F sharp, G, A. What? B flat to C? For real? What does that make this? What are we doing to the familiar Mixolydian framework? It's 1 interval different. Play it, see if it stands out to you. Well, let's see here. They're actually, sorry. Yeah. It's really that note. It's the flat 6. So what is the flat 7 of C Lydian dominant, that B flat? It acts as the flat 6 of this D dominant moment. And so you get this sort of, this always sounds sort of like Batman to me. Something about that sound. Maybe he might be pure minor. But 6 to 5. And you got the major 3rd. Pardon me?
What's the use in there?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh my God, you're right. Yeah. Okay, this is a great example. So doing Lydian dominant from the flat 7 of whatever key, what's the use is, you'll be appropriately playing Mixolydian flat 6. That's the way to go about it there. And all of these are written down in the document that you guys have to check out later and keep track of what you like. Yeah, well, there's wonderful sounds transpiring here. All right, cool. Let's switch it up a little bit. We are going to do the minor sound still. All right, so this is like Dorian flat 9, I believe. Yeah, the C lid dom. So for the minor stuff, you do it from the flat 3rd. So we're in A minor now. So it's going to be, we're still sticking with the C as our Lydian tonic. We've got the C lid dom. It's another thing you can deploy. The next three are all kind of more abstract sounding and fun to cover. Whole tone, which we sort of talked about a little bit, it's all whole steps. And so we'll have a dominant 1, we'll have a dominant 2. They're identical. They just start on different pitches. Their construction will be the same. And although I have a billion more strings than a few of us right now, my whole tune thing, I do, back to that 5 fret radius idea, I'll do 3, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2. So just on a 4 string, thinking like C, right? So C, D, E, then F sharp and G sharp on the next string, and then B flat D and C, B flat C, D. Yep. Because the thing I find that is difficult with getting people into the symmetrical information is I find that the shapes that are the easiest to grab at first, they sort of get you off of a cliff. So like if you're doing whole tone, people will be like, this one. And I really kind of shifted away from where I was playing and stuff. So I found that kind of localizing it vertically in the 5 fret range gave me a lot to play with. And I didn't have to always be like, I'm ascending with whole tone, oh Jesus Christ, I better get back, you know? And the same goes for diminished too, because it's like, it's easy to go and move that, but then it's like not as practical as having some economic shifting that's like part of the position. Why am I talking about this? Because we're talking about whole tone. All right, so let's just hear this. I don't know, do you guys like any, have you ever listened to Claude Debussy's music?
Yeah.
He's my favorite composer, and part of why I have such a,
Claire de Lune, right?
yeah, part of why I have such like a immense love for these tonalities and stuff is definitely from checking out his compositions. But this is like just 2 dominant chords back to back. It's very Debussy. And so you do have some stuff that you can latch onto with whole tone, if we think about it for a second. We have our root. We have our 3rd. Oh. We have our flat 7. Okay, this isn't so bad. And our 9. Oh, geez, that's a 7-9 chord. That's beautiful. But then we also have our sharp 11 and sharp 5. So they're a little disrupty. But even just getting a nice little 3-note phrase you like, and trying it from every note of the scale, that's a nice way to get into it. It's just symmetrically moving things around. Yeah, like a do, re, mi, and then move up to the next note. Yeah. Mind that, yeah. They won't let you into sharp 11 heaven with that note, yeah. Yes! Da-ba-da. Yeah, it's coming together though. Yeah, and at some points it feels tethered. It feels nice. You get the 3rd in there and stuff. And at some points it feels very untethered. And once you start to be familiar, yeah, there he goes. It's like, okay, every one of these is whole tone. So it's like you can visualize the tritone from where you are, the 3rd from where you are, and then it can unfold from there. Muscle Tough is my band, if you haven't seen us. And we like to say, if we had a scale, it'd be whole tone. No one asked, we just like to say that. Alright, so look, keep playing C whole tone. I made a D7, but once again we're playing from the flat 7. over the dominant stuff. The triad or the arpeggio you get from this one is pretty cool. It's an augmented dominant, so C, E, G sharp, B flat. Yeah, so there's two fingerings I can recommend. This diagonalish one, where I'm going A, D, G string, and that's 15, 14, 13. Yeah, so find your A string, C, yeah, and go diagonally, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, 3. Yeah, and that's it. So that's our C whole tone arpeggiated. Well, it's an augmented arpeggio. Yeah, but I would say that they're kindred in their symmetricalness. I almost said symmetricity. And I remember there's cameras, so I didn't want to be documented as making it. Yeah, they're major thirds. But then there's a whole step there for the flat 7. And that little cell right there, you can move that all over the place. From any one of these points in the web of the whole tone possibilities. So from all 6 of the notes, yes.
Oh wow, yeah, that changes everything.
Yes! We're doing the Lord's work here. Big whole tone, cool again. It's cool, right? And then like, here's a chordal expression of the triad. And then moving it to the next note of that inversion, so. And then you can also move a tritone away as well.
There's 4 frets?
It's up 1 string and over 1 fret.
Okay.
Or down 1 string and down 1 fret. Yes! Now that's Debussyan. This one is like something I've just figured out in the last few days, going up that tritone like that. Yes! Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then, just for the sake of our thoroughness here, over minor, you're going to say, John, you are a fucked up guy for making us do this in your class. C whole tone over A minor doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities. Allow me to elucidate. Flat 3rd, natural 4, natural 5, and then it's natural 6, major 7, flat 9. No root. It has no A present. Okay, does that suck? Well, let's see. I'm gonna play some Dorian stuff. Maybe some blue stuff. That was C whole tone. I just tastefully resolved it. So you can kind of use it to enclose things as well, but be aware there isn't a root there. So you can use that to your advantage. Just want to let you know the lay of the land. All right, so that was whole tone, which was a purely symmetrical scale. Now we're getting into the octatonic gauntlet. Dave, what are we at, like 115, 120? Oh my God, guys, we're gonna get through them all. Okay, so the next one I call blues major, and George Russell calls it, he's the guy who wrote the Lydian Chromatic Madness in 1953. Should mention him, that's why we're here. He calls it auxiliary diminished, which bothers me because of what he calls the next scale. Well, I'll break it all down. I call this one blues major. He calls it auxiliary diminished. And it's like a blues scale, but with a 2, so C, D, E flat, F, F sharp, G. But then it ends major scale, right? Blues major is what I call that. He calls it aux dim. Fine.
Yeah.
The next one he calls aux dim blues, and it's just whole half diminished. So this is where I decided to teach a class and make a document and tell you what I think. So blues major, and it's cool, right? You got 8 notes in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 makes the octave. That's a little bizarre. And have you ever heard of like the Barry Harris diminished fifth? All right, so it's another whole class that I'll teach you guys, but I want to tell you about it just quickly so that this one will have something to stand on. It's the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, with do, re, mi, fa, sol, si, la. So there's a chromatic tone, like the blues scale, added between the 5 and the 6. Okay, John, that's chill. Yes, it is. But I'll have to tell you, what's cool about it is you only get 2 chord qualities from the inversions. It's either inversions of C6 or diminish. It's kind of pretty. It has this kind of like rise and fall to itself, and it's a cool way to weave in some symmetrical stuff. So this blues major we're in, you either get diminished from your 1, so C, join me here, I want you to play through it with me. C, E flat, yeah, we're just gonna do the diminished real quick. C, E flat, F sharp, A. Okay, so that's our diminished quotient. And then the other notes are D, F, G, B, which is just, that's just the 5 chord outlined. So blues major is either inversions of the 5 chord from where you started, or diminished inversions. That's it. So we have C, and you'll get C diminished, and then you'll get G over D, E flat diminished, G over F, F sharp diminished, straight up G7, baby, A diminished, G7 over B, and then you're back home and you can make it major or whatever you'd like. But it's really nice that that's all in there. And so let's go see what this sounds like over a major chord. So it sounds a little dirty, right? There's no major third. You can kind of access that heartbreak of the major 7 and that sweet melody of the 2. It sounds pretty nasty. All right, so let's immediately go to the dominant chord because we're running out of time and it gets pretty interesting. So sticking with the C blues major, root, now it's our flat 7, the root, the flat 9, flat 3rd, regular 3rd, 4th, 5th, natural 6, flat 7.
We're in C right now?
Yeah, so it's C, D, E flat, F, F sharp, There's like, I don't know, there's like a lot you can string together with these 8-note scales. And then I wasn't even doing any of the little arpeggiations, which are kind of interesting too, but building through those. So let me just guide us each through the scale over this sound, just to make sure we're playing all the same notes. Start on your E string with me. Maybe you'll join me here too. Just 8th fret E string, that's our flat 7. And then we'll have 10th fret, that's our root, flat 9, flat 3rd, major 3rd. That's kind of just like the blues scale there, yeah. And that's our 4 now. And then you're going to finish out A, B, C. Yeah. Right? It's complex as hell. Yeah, so flat 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, flat 3, flat 9, ra, do.
So was it a minor third to a major third?
They're both in there.
But on the way up, would you play like as a chromatic there?
I wouldn't have like a, regarding C, I wouldn't play E.
Okay.
Yeah, I would still stick to that blues major. It's just what we end up getting over the D.
So then would it be like,
Yeah, that's da da da. This one always makes me think of King Gizzard. Like, all to me, let me see. This one's giving Giz a little bit, you know?
okay, that makes sense.
And then just sticking with, we're almost done. So you can have a taste of all of these. The blues major C over the A minor. It's just another like more like outgoing, I would call it. Not like ready to go out and meet people, but like truly starting to get dissonant and away from sounding like it could be related to a tonic of any kind. But play over it with me still. The same scale. C, D, E flat, F. Yeah. Yeah, that's our root now. Yeah. Cool. So these they're getting more and more complex. But I think you guys the real takeaway is, if it's a 1 chord, your 1 is your Lydian tonic. If it's a dominant chord, the flat 7 is the Lydian tonic. If it's a minor chord, the flat 3rd is the Lydian tonic. And then you just plug these scales in. So let's
Write that down real quick. Can you say that one more time?
absolutely. It's actually in there.
Oh, well, then never mind.
Yeah,
So,
no.
yeah, I guess that makes sense if you would have written that.
Well,
writing helps, you know, also.
1,000%. I could say it again if you want me to write it down. I might as well.
Yeah.
Okay. When playing over a 1 chord, that is your Lydian tonic. So if it's major, right? But also, as you saw, that we did have some 1 chords that were minor 7 major, minor major 7, or dominant, but still just thinking of that 1 as Lydian, okay? And then over dominant chords, you want to come from the flat 7. That's your Lydian tonic. I did also say that from the major 3rd can be cool sometimes too. The rule of thumb, the flat 7. It's kind of how it naturally occurs. And then over minor stuff, it's your flat 3rd. That's the Lydian tonic. So we're always doing C Lydian, but it's like C Lydian, okay, cool. C Lydian over D gives us Mixolydian. C Lydian over A gives us Dorian. and then we're changing that Lydian nucleus each time to really affect what's going on around it. Hell yeah. All right, so final scale here, it's one of the diminished scales. We've been talking about diminished a little bit today, stacking the minor thirds. Here's one of the actual scales, half whole. So we start off with just a half step. I'll show you my favorite fingering for this one. It's like, I used to do it before I even knew what it was. I just thought it was like some way to get across the fretboard. But C, and then go up a half step, and then add your ring and your pinky. Right, so those are your first 4 notes of the scale. And then now, where your pointer finger is resting over that F sharp, do the same fingering from there on the A string. Yeah. And that's it, because the next note where your pointer finger is would be more of the same shit. Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Incredibly difficult, way easier. Thanks, John.
The wins I'm getting out of this are so much different than I thought they'd be, and they were so valuable to me, you know? The way you guys reacted to whole tone made my year, you know? It sounds like, yeah. Yes, it's easy to get off track, and then its cousin, whole half, is right there. It's like whole half starts on the second note of it, you could think. We're not going to talk about that one because it's not what's naturally derived. But what intervals do we get? Let's just talk about that for a second. We get a root. We get a root, flat 9, flat 3, major 3, sharp 4, 5, natural 6, flat 7. So it's really just like you get some dissonant business down below with the flat 9 and the flat 3rd, but then the rest of it feels just kind of regularly dominant. It's got a 3rd, it's got a flat 7. And then let's here's a diminished shape that I like that I'll share with you. Root, flat 3rd, natural 6. Yeah. And I'll move that in minor thirds along one string. Yeah, you're running it. Also, like, you know, I have more space, I know, but the tritones as well there. So let's just hit you with these last few tonalities here. Same.
This one seems pretty close to like a Phrygian dominant scale.
It's quite close, what
Yeah,
you
it's
said.
really close, right?
Yeah, it's got both thirds, which is weird. That's what sets it apart.
Right.
And little, I call them micro associations like that. Okay, the difference between whole half diminished and Phrygian dominant is a flat 3rd. You know, whole half
You know,
diminished.
one with the caveat, you know, too.
Yes, exactly. It's collecting caveats. So now we're over. This is a little bit fucked sounding, I like to say. This is one where we're like, we don't have a D in this one. So it's like everything but it. So you have C. So there I kind of use it to kind of, when I need to resolve, I add the D. We were giving him the do. Now in this key, the do is a D. A female D. last color for us here. Over the A minor doing this, we get, it gets pretty far out because right away there's a major third. Oh, weird. And it becomes, it sounds sort of altered. But it does have an A in it, so my proposal here to you is, let's say you're getting a solo at your concert. Amazing. Congrats. Right? For all of us. Finally! Oh my gosh! And you're crushing away. If I knew what key I was in. 6 strings or so. And you're in, yeah, A minor. I'm running out on my legs. Fuck. Oh wait, I remember. I can do whole half diminished from the minor third. And get back into your regular vocabulary, the pentatonic stuff, the bluesy riffs that we know. And I'll just kind of flow out of like what I would say, where we all already are, right? Like we're inside, like we know how to play over chords and like match with the band. And this kind of gives us tools to safely step outside of that and then bring it back in. So that's the nuts and bolts of it all. Those are the 7 scales that come from the concept. And that's how to use them over the major, dominant, and minor chords. Do you guys have any questions about anything? I mean, of course you might.
Yeah.
But do you feel like maybe like the big nut of the concept has been instilled? It's all about finding your Lydian tonic and then superimposing these different scales to get some unique, different colors out of the music we're used to playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Having a visualization is very helpful as well. So I may have known the things that like in the head, but never seeing them and knowing how to apply them.
Right.
Well, that's what I was saying. There's a lot of stuff that I've played some of these little
Right.
things, and like I just didn't know what it actually was. And now to have like a framework to install it, move it around, and add other things in helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have really helped me today by being here and being part of this, and put, you know, it's been my honor, and I really hope that it inspires you guys and you can share it with your friends, and that we'll all be on this level sooner or later, you know.
Sure.
Make George the #1 selling author on Amazon.
Yeah. Come on, George. For
Yeah, what I
these.
thought was cool was how you were just linking all these different modes together, because I have a tendency to kind of like look at something as being Lydian, but not looking at it as like, if I'm playing in a different key and starting Lydian from a flat third, or starting Lydian from a major third, I never had like thought about it in that way. I would just pick more of what my root is,
Yeah.
instead of like, it's, like you were saying, for an A minor, I would always gravitate towards A minor being my tonal center, like in my mind.
Yeah.
And that was kind of cool to look at C being the tonal center, even though it's A minor.
Yeah.
And using some of this stuff that you've explained to us now, I haven't really linked that together.
Sure.
It was more separate.
And I want to color onto that. It's like A is still the tonal center. It's like more about the way that we're superimposing
Right, okay,
sounds
yeah.
over the tonal center.
Right.
Yeah. But it's like we're saying the same thing. But
Right,
that
of
bit of
course.
the language I wanted to make sure is the same. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that is, I feel like, more authentic to what's happening.
Yeah, and it's like, I like to call it shifting the landscape. And we hear people do it all the time, and maybe they looked at this, or maybe it's just something that they found on their own. Like, I mean, I don't know if Jerry Garcia, like, looked at this, but, like, you hear this in Jerry, like, for sure. You know, it's from the 50s, man. Kind of Blue, there would have been no Kind of Blue
Oh, yeah,
without
totally.
Bill Evans checking this stuff out, and then Miles being interested.
Bill Leschet, he learned to play bass from Bill Evans' left hand.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he claims. So,
Okay, so there's...
So like when I was learning to play in college, I would just like throw on a dead show and just try and follow Bill for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was doing, but by following him, I was doing some of these things.
You were encountering it, yeah.
So it's like it comes from there anyways. So
Thank you guys so much.
thank you.